Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. It's the Ron Van Dam Show.
Thank you very much.
Hold on tight, things can get a bit weird, if you like that sort of thing.
Hey, welcome to the program. It is the, whatever they said it was, the Ron Van Dam Show. Thank you so much for being here today. Not that you had I had a choice. I didn't have to be here, in which case you'd have nothing to watch. So here you go. I do this once a week for the television people of the planet, and I do this every single weekday on syndicated radio stations and podcast internet stuff. So hi, how are you? If you're not familiar with the show, this is a program that kind of binds us all together in the mode of the things that we don't usually talk about, but I do. So I think we have these things in common. For example, without question about it, we all put our pants on the same way, don't I? You put your pants on the same way that I do, over your head, right? That's not how you do it? Okay, fine. Anyway, how are you? Good to be with you. I always remark that you are on the ceiling for some reason, and I don't know why I have to look up to see you, unless we'll call that the balcony, okay? I'm all the way down here. How are you? All right, fine. You can find me, by the way, on all of the internet platforms. The Spotify, Codify, Dobify, Shopify, Apple Podcasts, the Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. I don't heart radio so much. iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, all of them. Pandora, we're on her. I don't know. I have no idea. Pandora, that's the jewelry company, isn't it? What am I doing on a Why am I in a jewelry company? How are you? Good to see you. All right, fine. Hey, what is that? They got a screen up now. They want to hide the technical equipment from your... This is a screen. Is somebody changing their clothes behind there? Hey, lady! All right. You know, as we get older, and we all do that, except for the people who get Botox, they never seem to age. Their lips just get bigger. There's certain things. I've always wanted to be a doctor. Not that I ever wanted to touch anybody, especially their insides. But I've wanted the doctor so that I could tell people I was a doctor, even though I wasn't. So I want the accolades without the work. Why is it? Well, let me ask you this, because I don't know what I'm talking about just yet. What is it that I read somewhere, and I'm not making it up, although I might as well, because you can't check me out. I read somewhere that the highest suicide rates are specifically among dentists. Not that they're the highest, but they have a very high suicide rate. And by the way, suicide is nothing to laugh about, but at the same time, it's a comedy show, so in a sense. But it's not funny. But dentists, indeed, for some reason, have a higher suicide rate. And I can't figure out why specifically that would be the case, other than if you were going to put your hands in strangers' mouths as a profession, I might consider it to be not worth living. I don't know. I'm not sure. Ron, and I'm talking to myself here. Ron, don't go there. I have always wanted to be a motivational speaker. And I'll tell you why. Because anything on stage, other than being a character in a play, anything on stage is tremendously appealing to many people who love accolades. I was a stand-up comedian for about 10 years when I moved to the Boston area. It was a horrific experience. Some of the shows were wonderful. A lot of them were just horrible. It all depended not on me, because my act was the same every time, depended on the audience, and I never knew what I was going to get. And the big question when I was doing stand-up, I would walk into the club, And the question that every comedian asks, the first thing that comes out of their mouths is, how are they tonight? Not how is the audience, how's everything? How are they? How are they? And we were referring to the audience. And if the audience was very stiff, didn't laugh too much, was very talkative, you knew it was going to be a bad night. You might as well be a dentist. But if they seem to laugh at everything, like somebody blows their nose and people go, then you know you have a real good night, because you didn't have to really be funny. They'll laugh at anything. And that's a good crowd. But the funny thing is, it's one of the few professions where you walk, they introduce you, they say your name, and they introduce you, and you walk up on the stage and people applaud. They applaud. You haven't done anything yet. You've done nothing whatsoever except for breathe. They announce your name, you walk on stage, you got a couple of little steps, you walk on stage, and people go, oh, yeah, all right. And bathe in that, because from that moment on, everything that comes out of your mouth is downhill from there. It can't possibly match the accolades that you just got for doing absolutely nothing whatsoever, except for walk on a stage. Very interesting profession. And if your act was good, you got as much applause as you did when you walked up having done nothing at all at that point. If your act was like really, really good, it was even more applause than you got when you walked up on stage for absolutely no reason whatsoever and got the same applause. So it was a strange kind of thing. But I realized anything that I do on stage in front of an audience at first is going to be wonderful and then go down from there. So I thought, well, what is it? I've had a lifetime of experience. By doing this radio program for 30 years, can you imagine? 30 years with no sleep. Been doing this for 30 years, and I've interviewed thousands upon thousands of people in all different walks of life, all different experts in all different fields. Can I remember half of them? No. But I did it. And so I have some knowledge and I have some experience. And I thought, well, if I talk to that many experts in all these different various subject matters, I must have something to say. Quite obviously, I don't. So I thought, well, what would be best for me? And then I thought, I want to be a motivational speaker. That's what I want to do. I realized that I can never be the Pope like I wanted to be, because apparently they don't interview for that. You just kind of become one. So I've sent in my resume and all that, and they never respond to me, and that's not going to happen. But that would be great. You get up in the morning. You don't even have to go outside. You just go to the balcony of your bedroom and pontificate. I mean, you don't even have to put clothes on. You can do it in your pajamas. It's fantastic. But that job's never going to be mine. So what's closest to that? Pontification or the priesthood. And the priesthood, a lot of sacrifice involved there. I'm not doing that. There's money involved in becoming a motivational speaker. People actually pay a good amount of money just to hear you speak. That sounds interesting. I don't even have to be funny like a stand-up comedian. All I have to do is just relay my life experiences and somehow apply them to the people who have paid money to see me. I can do that. Here's the trick to becoming a motivational speaker, and it's not a bad occupation. It really isn't. Here's the trick. Whatever subject matter you may be speaking about, whatever motivational thing you're going to get into, what you do is you read your audience. Now, if you're, let's say it's a bunch of people who drink too much, and you're motivating them to stop drinking, okay? Here's what you do. You get up on the stage, and you start by telling people how much worse off you were than they could possibly be right now. So you you really make them feel for you, and that's how you start it. It gives you credibility, even though they have no idea who the hell you are. So you start with telling them, it's the same thing. If this is how you can make a lot of money in real estate. I know nothing about real estate, but I know how to motivationally speak. I need to motivate people to walk out of there and feel like they can make millions of dollars, even though there's no way they can do that. They're totally incompetent. That's why they're there. People who could have made a lot of money in real estate would have made it already. They don't have to sit in an audience paying $50 to hear me speak. I'm telling you, man, it's a great business. So you get up on stage and you tell them, I was penniless for a long time. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I couldn't, and I didn't own a house, and I didn't, and I was hard. And then I took $10 and I invested it, and now I have billions of dollars. And you don't have billions of dollars. You just say you do, and you motivate these people. Your audience, when you're doing motivational speaking, you have to realize that your audience is not well off. They are people who are, it's not working out. It's not working out. If it was working out for them, they wouldn't be there. These are people that need help and guidance. So you start out by telling them how awful you were and how good you are right now. And that reels them in like a fish. Anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. You don't have to be rich or successful. All you have to do is just drag yourself out of the hole, and they'll buy it. They'll buy it. You motivate them. You tell them, don't let anybody stand in your way. That's no matter what it is. Don't let anybody stand in your way of your dreams. I don't care what it is. I don't care what you want to do, who you want to be. Don't let anybody stand in the way of your freaking dreams. And, they eat this up. They eat this up. And, yeah, he's right. Nobody should stand in the way of it. Well, yeah, I'm just stating the obvious. I don't tell them how to surpass it. Just don't let them do it. It's not, don't make decisions based on nothing. Make decisions based on something. Ooh, wow, I never thought of that. I should make decisions based on something. Make connections. If you want to get ahead, do it with people who can help you get ahead. He's a genius. He's a genius. I can understand now why he's a motivator. He's a genius. I have to make connections to have connections. Well, this goes on like for an hour and a half. And then you take questions from the audience, the people who it's not working out for them at all. So now they're beneath you. That's why first of all, when you're standing on a stage, you're above them already. When you're on the stage, you are you, and all of those hundreds of people in the audience are down there. And that's how they feel, and that's how you feel, and that at that time in that room, that's how that is. So a motivational speaker wins out no matter what. Also usually dress better than they are. And that's easy too. I can buy clothes. I can handle that. So you motivational speak, and then you take questions from the audience, and no matter what they say, you motivate them in a way that makes no difference whatsoever. For example, one of the questions might be, how can I dress for success? Put some clothes on, and the person that you're speaking to, dress like them. Thank you, Mr. Van Dam. That's an incredible good idea. Thank you. Mr. Van Dam, how do I motivate myself to get out of bed? I don't know. Just take your feet, plant them on the ground, and move forward. Genius! Genius! Motivational speaker. $50 a pop. A couple of hundred people. An hour and a half. And here's the deal. If you're good at this, and there's no reason why you can't be, if you're good at this, because you're higher than they are, when it's over, you say, here's your last line to the people before they leave the auditorium. You say, now go out there. Oh, you have to be able to talk properly. Now go out there and make a difference. And they go, well, I'm out of here. And they stand up and they're on their way out. And for the next 10, 15 minutes, they're motivated. After that, not so much. But by then, you're already out of the building, on your way home, and on your way to the bank. So, why, he motivated me. But wait a minute, I'm no longer motivated. That's not my fault. You left motivated, so what do you want from me? So yeah, motivational speaker is what I want to be. And that's my career path. I'm just way too lazy to do it. I didn't need to be motivated. But I know what the formula is. I'm just too lazy to execute it. I wanted also today to talk about my disappointment in this country, but not in the sense of the political sense. When I was growing up, and I won't tell you how old I am because it doesn't make any difference, but when I was growing up, I was of a generation where my parents had a lot of parties at their house. They weren't swingers or anything like that. They didn't smoke cigarettes in the house. But this was during the time when the United States government kind of said cigarette smoking, it's kind of good for you. The government used to hand out cigarettes to our military in order to relax them. They said it was a good way to calm your nerves, and they handed out cigarettes, and they thought that was just fine. And now, in this generation, we all understand that will kill you eventually. But how could they not know this? Or did they? But the cigarette industry was just too powerful to stop, similar to the cell phone industry. You can't stop them. I don't know what cell phones cause you brain cell-wise, but we can't stop it now, can we? It's just bigger than we are. Try to stop that. Well, that was the deal with the cigarettes. My parents didn't really smoke in the house at all, but they did have in their living room on the coffee table. I don't know if people have coffee tables anymore. It's kind of an archaic expression, isn't it? They had a coffee table, which was a long table that sat in front of the big couch or sofa in the living room. And these houses, my parents had a formal living room, which means I couldn't go in it. That's all that meant. It wasn't formal in the sense of anything else on the fact that I can't go into it. I'm not supposed to be in it. For some reason, they think I'm going to stand in the middle of the living room, pee on the floor or something. I would never do that, but I guess that's what they thought I would do. So I was not allowed in the living room. That was off limits. It was like a museum piece in there. I couldn't go in. It was roped off, practically. So on the coffee table was a box, and it was a cigarette box. And if you're Generation X, P, or W, you don't know what I'm talking about. It was a cigarette box about this big, and it was ornate. It had nice stuff on the side, like a nice border on it, and sometimes a velvet top. It was very ornate. It looked like basically an urn, a flat urn. But inside, when you lifted the lid, were cigarettes. Not a pack of cigarettes, just loose cigarettes. And the idea was when company came over, they would go into the living room, sit on the couch, and the first thing my parents would say to them as a host and hostess, they would say, would you care for a cigarette? And they would lift the lid to the cigarette box, and the guests would take a cigarette, put it in their mouth, and no Bic lighters. We're not talking about Bic lighters here. We're talking about ornate cigarette lighters that look like little, tiny little tubs, like those egg things, those beautiful Russian carved porcelain eggs. And you would flick that, and they were beautiful cigarette lighters, beautiful, expensive pieces of art. And they would light your cigarette and all that. And then as you had your social evening, you would smoke these cigarettes. And that was just the way it was. Now, maybe your parents didn't smoke, but just, I'd say 80% of all adults at that point, they smoked. Not chain smoking necessarily, but they smoked. That was a time when that was totally acceptable. And at the same time as they were doing that, all the time in their lives in front of me, they constantly said, Ron, you should never smoke. Wait a minute. You're smoking in front of me with all of your friends, but you say to me, but you don't do this. You shouldn't do this. What? It was the same with drinking. They would have a drink, with their friends in the house, and then they would look at me and said, Ron, you shouldn't do this. Okay, so you're drinking in front of me, you're smoking in front of me, but I should never do this. Yeah, even when you turn of age, you really shouldn't do this either. What? They also told me, well, we won't talk about sex. They didn't do that in public. But at the same time, they suggested that I don't try that. Oh, come on. But that was the culture then. Adults could do stuff, and their kids, even when they grew up, they shouldn't do it. A very interesting time to live. But the bottom line to that is that the government actually, was not telling people not to have cigarettes. I did when I was a young adult. I smoked passively. Not a lot, but I did. I think it was just because other people did. I don't know. And the government started putting warning labels on the cigarette packs. And when they started doing that, the labels were very specific. Some of the cigarette packs said, caution, smoking cigarettes can cause complications in pregnancies. Others said, caution, could cause lung extended use, cause lung cancer in some adults. And they were so specific that in my stupidity, I thought, well, okay, I'm a guy. I'm not going to have any pregnancy complications, so I'll smoke those packs that says that on the side. I don't know. I was just kind of stupid. And then we started to learn that, no, that will kill everybody eventually unless you're really lucky, but basically that'll catch up with you. Here's what they don't tell you when you're a kid. They don't tell you that all the stuff that you're doing will eventually catch up with you and make your adult life horrible. For example, when you're a child, you get candy. That's you've been a good boy, a good girl. Here's a piece of candy. It's Halloween. Here's a whole pillowcase full of candy. Everybody, and if you did a good job, I'll give you a lollipop. Let's give them no dessert until you finish your Brussels sprouts. Dessert and sweets were always the treat. They were the reward. We were brought up that sugar is a reward. Then you get older, and as a young adult, you figure out, I can have this all the time if I want to. No one's going to stop me. I don't need to have it as a reward. I can have it all the time. Then you find out as soon as you hit 50 years old, you have prediabetes no matter who you are. The amount of sugar that you've had all your life is giving you a condition that now you have to deal with medically. I didn't know that. My dermatologist, and I have one now, didn't have one when I was a young adult. Now I have one. Dermatologist says, Ron, you have some skin problems there. That's because when you were young, did your mother take you to the beach a lot? Yeah, she did. Did you get sunburned? Sure, every kid got sunburned. Did your sunburn peel? Yeah, of course. It was fun. It was like being a human banana. I had a good time with that. Says, okay, when you have sunburns as a child, when you get older, that can cause a type of skin cancer. Oh, my mother didn't tell me that. Well, your mother didn't know that. Oh, God. So now I have to deal with that? Drinking, same deal. Same deal. You know, later on in life, you got to watch your liver. You got to watch your digestive system. You're bloating, you're gassy. That's your intestines. You didn't take care of it. All that KFC stuff you were eating, all that cheese, all that grease, all those fried foods later on in life. Yeah, heart disease. Have a nice day. And even if they tell you this stuff when you're a kid and a young adult, you figure, no, that doesn't happen to me because I feel good. Well, this isn't what I wanted to talk about today. I want to talk about being a motivational speaker, but at the same time, I think I've just done that. But all we're doing is just we're realizing that we're all in the same boat. Now, there are certain cultures and certain body types that seem to be just totally immune to all the problems. But for the most part, the older you get, the more you have to deal with. And a lot of it is a result of just how haphazard you were when you were a younger adult or as a child. I've noticed as I've gotten older that I am more gastric, and nobody talks about this, but I think we all have this in common. We're full of gas. I mean, gas prices have gone up. Hey, tap me, baby. I'm full of it. I could heat a house. I got enough natural gas that, you know. Anyway, yeah. So what I did was I started turning to what they call probiotics. I guess that helps clean your gut and your intestines and helps with your digestion. And I found out that what I'd be taking is 50 billion live cultures or something. Like there's 50 billion of something that I'm supposedly taking every morning. That's a lot of something. I mean, I understand 10 milligrams of one thing or 3 teaspoons of sugar or something. 50 billion live cultures? The hell? What? 50 billion? I don't have room for that, do I? I don't care how small these things are. I got 50 billion live things in me? What the hell? Yeah, they're bacteria, and it's good bacteria. I don't care if it's good or bad. That's a lot of 50 billion's a lot of those things in that little capsule. So now I'm swallowing cultures, 50 billion of something. It's scaring the hell out of me. You know, everything comes in gummy form now for adults. I always thought gummies would be for children who just refuse to swallow pills. And then I found out now they make gummies for adults. When did that happen? What is that about? You know, the one thing that they didn't make gummies for that they should have? Yeah, COVID. That's right. Yeah, instead of getting the shots in the arm, think of how many people they could have saved lives instead of taking the injection in the arm. Here, have a piece of candy. Not only is it tasty, it'll keep you alive from the COVID. That might have worked. I know it takes some technology to do that, but at the same time, I believe we have it. By now, we should. I think gummies for everything. The gummies, my God. We're a bunch of babies. We are a bunch of babies. Our most popular technical aspects of our society, we still treat like babies. Our major search engine is Google, which is the sound a baby makes with their saliva when they're in their infant pen on their backs. Google. That's a little embarrassing. Can you come up with a phrase or a title that makes sound a little more technologically advanced than the sound that a baby makes in a bassinet? I'm out of time. Sorry, I've spent all this time talking. I should have danced more. I'll be back again next time. Until that time arrives, join me at newenglandbroadcasting.com or ronvandamme.com. A new show every single weekday. Until then, I wish you peace.